half mortal, half god, all heroes of Olympus. You're listening to Ranking Rick Riordan, a podcast where we rank every book in the Percy Jackson Mythological universe, also known as the Riordanverse. I'm Dan.
I'm Olga.
And I'm Clara, and today we're discussing the Heroes of Olympus, Book 1, The Lost Hero. Again.
Part 2.
Continued. All right, so let's get into a little bit of housekeeping off the top. Please check out our Percy Jackson spin-off video that's on YouTube at youtube.com/DoingOK, and also our review of the Sea of Monsters movie. This was supposed to be a live react, but we were not impressed.
We got seasick.
That was better than any joke that was in that movie. That's not actually true. That was me just being snarky. There were some okay jokes. Point is, we decided our reactions were lackluster, so we just decided to do another review. I still think it's worth watching if you were not a fan of the movies. Mm-hmm. If you were, stay away.
All right. Shall we get back into the recap?
Yeah, let's do it. So we pick up as they escape Medea and fly towards Aeolus's fortress.
Aeolus.
What?
Aeolus.
Aeolus. God dang it. Aeolus's fortress.
I mean, okay, all of my pronunciations are from the audiobook. They might be totally wrong.
They're probably right if they got
they sound
even like
right.
Keone.
Yeah.
I still think I hate that. I want it to be Keone.
I mean, I actually looked up Keone. It really
I know you
is
did.
Keone.
I know, which is why I'm led to believe that this is.
Please.
So we pick up as they escape Medea and fly towards Aeolus's fortress, following a vapor trail only Jason can see. Leo's dream is hijacked by his dad, Hephaestus, family reunion time, who cryptically tells him that nothing lasts forever, but that everything can be reused. The Green New Deal propaganda, I see.
Before it was even a thing.
All right, so Festus is once more falling out of the sky. This is what, the fifth time? And Leo tries to fix him, but just as he's about to land, Festus is blasted with lasers and permanently destroyed. All that's left, yeah. And his name was so happy. For those who don't remember, Festus means happy. Okay, all that's left is his head, and Leo sadly asks his dad to transport it to bunker number 9 so it can be reused someday.
They do a really good job of making me care about Festus, even though he really is just a robot.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he, like, secretly has a consciousness or something.
No.
But Leo cares so much.
And when Festus responds happily, his teeth whirl like a drill. What the heck? Kind of. That was a nightmare thing for me. I was like, I have aversion to dentists, so the idea of teeth spinning like drills was not actually great imagery for me. But no, I agree with you, Dan. Mm-hmm. All right, so the group had landed in a heavily guarded compound full of traps. Leo disables them, and the group collapses in sleep within the mansion.
Ooh.
They awake, including Coach Hedge, that goat man.
Cupcakes.
To discover that the house belongs to the villainous King Midas.
Not to be confused with King Minos.
Right. This is the guy that turns everything to gold. Mm-hmm. So he asks them if they would rather join his collection of gold statues or be killed by his son, Laertes?
Yeah, let's call him Lit. It's easier.
Let's get lit. He turns both Leo and Piper into gold. Jason chooses to fight Lit and defeats him by using a Roman fighting style and tricking Midas into turning him into gold. Jason summons a bolt of lightning to let rain into the house, which allows the running water to return all of the statues that are gold back into alive people that are pissed off at King Midas.
Murder Midas.
Wow, Dan. You didn't follow your own advice.
So I really like this section. It's a quick little aside, fillery type thing, but I like how they talk about multiple myths involving Midas. Mm-hmm. And Laertes has a whole picture on the website. I wonder what that's about. Maybe he's
on
more
the wiki, you mean?
than this. Yeah. And I like that finally Jason's doing things because this is the first time Jason does anything since the beginning of the book.
Yeah, it's been a minute. But I like the fact this is another example of like the doors of death are open and the mortals are coming back, like that. It's, it's good that it wasn't just like one and done kind of thing in this book. Yeah. Also the fact that King Midas is like, what are you talking about? I love turning things to gold. Who revamped my myth, like my legend? No, gold thumb all the way, thumbs up. Like it's a fun take.
Yeah.
The heroes camp in a cave, and Piper reveals that Enceladus has been blackmailing her. She's relieved when they comfort her and tell her that they will rescue both her father and Hera. Yay, friendship. Suddenly, they're attacked by Locale and his pack of lycanthropes. Silver arrows shoot the werewolves, and the monsters retreat. The hunters of Artemis then appear, with Thalia Grace in the lead. And then, for some reason, we have Leo narrating this chapter instead of Jason.
Yeah. This is definitely a criticism that we had, that it's very strange that the reunion between Thalia and Jason is from Leo's perspective.
Yeah, especially since Leo's like, I shouldn't be here. I want to leave. And Jason's like, no, I want you to stay. And we're like, cool. Yeah, moral support. But also like...
I think the only reason they have him here is that they want to try to undercut the tension by having the wacky character make some asides in between the like, hey, your mom died of a drunk driving crash.
Yeah.
I think it's a symptom of like we still want it to be a kid's book sort of thing. Yeah. But in general, the fact that he felt like he had to do two chapters of this person, 2 chapters of this person, and like go in that cycle.
In that same order.
I don't think it was necessary. I think he could have broken from it, but...
Yeah. I understand wanting a balance, but then like do 3 chapters here and, I don't know. It's a formula that backfires a little bit. Yeah. Also, again, yes, the lightheartedness of Leo being like, and yet another unattainable woman that I love. Like,
it's like my least favorite, one of my least favorite tropes.
Yeah, I'm with you, Clara. All right. So Thalia explains to Jason that their mother was visited by Zeus twice. The second time he was stricter and spoke in Latin. I wonder what that's all about. When he left for good, their mother fell apart. Then one day, their mother seemingly abandoned Jason at the Wolf House. Losing Jason was the last straw for Thalia, and she ran away.
See the Demigod Diaries for more information.
Thalia then leads them to Aeolus's palace, a floating mountain. As they cross a frozen bridge, Leo realizes that perhaps Jason is a bridge between 2 places. Wow, it's an exchange. As an exchange goes both ways, then Percy must be the one sent to the other side. He also realizes that Hera is imprisoned at the Wolf House. Thalia tells them that the hunters will go there and hold it while they rescue Piper's dad.
Cool. Good use of the hunters. Thalia is a good character who just never quite gets as much as she deserves.
Yeah. When are we going to get her perspective for like an entire book series?
I don't know that we will.
Yeah.
Give it to me, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Well, if Dan's spin-off ideas are listened to by Disney Plus, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Agreed.
Self-promotion. So they go up the mountain and are escorted by an aura, Melly, Aeolus's assistant.
Melly.
When they finally meet Aeolus, he turns out to be a wacky weather reporter who's been driven mad by the gods.
I like this book a lot. This book is good. I like all the imagery when you have the ice palace and the gold mansion and the flying mountain with the weatherman who's wacky.
Yeah, who's got one too many facelifts and fake tans and I love it.
He's good. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
This is a really fun scene.
Yeah.
This whole I feel like the Heroes of Olympus series in general, like the Percy Jackson books have the like fantastic real world plus gods like world building, but this is just like it goes all out on the like mythology world building, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's less formulaic. Like, again, we have the elements of like the Odyssey, the Iliad in Percy Jackson, and they're, that's good too. Like familiarity is good, but just having like chicken harpies who help tell, help build the palace and its weatherman. Like, that's great. That's so much fun.
Chicken harpies are good
They make great
They're good stuff.
dinner snacks. What?
I don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking like chicken wings, harpy wings. I don't know.
Oh.
I would give it a
Olga.
try.
Dark.
That's our other podcast, self-promotion. All right. The group gives him the caged Venti, and he reveals that Enceladus is on Mount Diablo. He's about to send them on their way when he gets a call from an anonymous source that tells him to kill the demigods.
Kill them all.
Yeah. They escape his harpies, chicken wings, and with Mellie's help, but she gets fired for her treachery. Poor Mellie.
Mm-hmm.
No severance or anything.
But she gets a nice little iris message later in the book from one Cokehead.
Yeah.
Doesn't she send the iris message?
I don't. She said send me an iris
Oh,
message.
yeah. In that sense, she's like, call me. I love that. She's really cute.
Yep.
Piper gets a vision of Aphrodite shopping in Medea's department store. What? Aphrodite gives Piper two things: a vial filled with a potion that only erases recent memories, and the identity of their true enemy, Gia.
Shocking. No one could have figured out who the goddess of the earth was.
So that's the whole thing. Is I've always assumed it was Gaia, and you're telling me it's Gia.
I don't understand it personally, because I did look this up, and it can be both, but they're both the Greek name, because Terra is the Roman name, and in the Labyrinth they call her Gaia. But here it's Gia.
They do a lot of things in the Labyrinth.
A lot of crazy stuff going on
At
over
some
there.
point, we need a whole little mini episode that's just us rereading the Labyrinth and being like, was this foreshadowing or just
a mistake? Janice looking at you as I stare at the door to this room.
Oh, there's a fun little callback to Janice in the, one of the Demigod Diaries stories about how he starts TV shows and cancels them really quickly afterward.
Oh my God.
What the?
He works in network television.
Oh God! So he really is a monster and evil person, evil god. All right, so let's talk about Aphrodite here.
Yeah.
I really like this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was like, considering the last time that we saw Aphrodite, she's like, hoo-hoo, I'm gonna make Percy's life difficult, give him a love triangle. I love torturing demigods. The fact that she's like, yes, I'm still kind of that person, but I'm more than that. I'm more, giving her some real like gravitas is really great.
While not leaving that totally behind.
Right.
I think is important. Yeah. The fact that she calls out like, I'm one of the oldest gods or the oldest, I can't remember.
I love how this series takes a lot of our criticism of the first series and is like, oh, you wanted a really cool Aphrodite and Hera? Okay. Because I remember, Olga, you were saying something like, I wish the children of Aphrodite weren't all like annoying and vain, and that was all Aphrodite was. And Dan and I were like, just you wait. So it's like, it's very rewarding for me to hear that you did like the way that it was executed here.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. It's just her whole thing about love being powerful, and even the whole like everything has its place, everything has a perfect fit, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it's what embodies you. Like it's just like everything that you want to be kind of not like preached, but encouraged with like young adult readers. Yeah. And yet it also like makes sense. It's multifaceted characters, not just the demigods, but the gods themselves, and with them being like more sympathetic than initially given credit for. It is the thing of like, they are personified. People are complicated. Yep. You can be vain, shallow, and like jealous, but at the same time, you can also be like truly have care and emotion and love. Like it's great. It's Aphrodite all the way, And
I really like the fact that when she dresses all of them, that like that's still tying in the like, oh, I love clothes type of thing, but it's about like, it's not about like hiding what they look like under cool clothes. It's about finding what is going to emphasize who they already are and like bringing them more confidence and like really shine a light on their own individual kind of beauty.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about with that is that they each of them, like when it's told from the different perspectives, they're sort of laughing at each other.
Yeah.
And they're sort of like, haha, like Coach Hedge looks so silly, but Coach Hedge like really loves the way he looks. And same with like Leo, or, you know, so it's like, it really truly is like, this is what makes you feel really good. And it is not about other people. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's almost unfortunate in that sense of like the way Piper is claimed, and they go into this like, oh, this isn't me, this isn't like, this is just a show, and so it's like he almost had to like undo that damage within this same book. But at the same time, it's also like, well, the way Aphrodite claims people is to like be like, this one is mine, and this is what embodies me, and this will get you the respect of being my child. Yeah. But it's on you to find your place. Like after you're part of my family, I am now sending you into the world to like become also your best self.
But it's also that like, I think it's very purposely picked out that Aphrodite's looking at the dress that Piper ends up wearing, and Piper's like, man, that's awesome. Yeah. But like, she wouldn't have picked it for herself because she wouldn't have like, and so in some ways, I think you could make the argument that even in the claiming, she's trying to help Piper, like, find the fact that she can be more than she thinks she is. And maybe it goes over the top and she kind of finds the middle ground here.
Right.
Yeah. I want to talk about this more in the next episode when we see another character get claimed by their parent, because I think there are a lot of similarities, actually, now that we're talking about this. So... Yep. I think there's like this interesting thing that is happening throughout the series about like the gods as parents as well, that that we didn't really see because we only had like Percy and Poseidon in the last book. So
and Poseidon's kind of bland. Let's be real. Yeah, like he's not bad. He's a good dude. And he's scary sometimes. That's about it.
That's boring.
But even Hephaestus is like more interesting than Poseidon. Yeah. Even here, like, I mean, we already liked him with the whole when he was with Percy in the Labyrinth series. Labyrinth. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But here, when he, goes and talks to Leo, he's like, all right, you have my gift of power. Like, he acknowledges his own, like, again, shortcomings as a presence in Leo's life, but at the same time,
he's been watching his science fairs and all that stuff.
Right. And he gives him this blessing. It's like, it's powerful. It's not actually a curse. It's something. These are very interesting, parental figures that are being explored like consistently.
Yeah. So something I want to talk about that we haven't really hit on from this scene is, so Aphrodite gives her this vial, basically saying like, your dad's gonna need this. And I saw like some like trivia and things in the wiki for this book being like, it's kind of weird that like Jason's mom went crazy and couldn't handle God stuff, and Piper's dad couldn't handle this stuff, but like Annabeth's dad is totally fine, Percy's mom is totally fine. And is that like an inconsistency, or is that like
no,
you don't think so?
No, because Luke's mom really couldn't handle it either. She thought she could, and she tried to take on too much, and she couldn't.
I would argue that Luke's mom is a different example because she tried to take on the embodiment of an oracle, and it wasn't just like a big secret about the existence of gods. It was actually like another like presence in her mind.
Yeah, and I guess it was also a curse because Hades cursed it. But I do think I don't know there's an inconsistency because it looks like a lot of different people handle it differently, but like I think Percy and Annabeth were introduced so early on, and the books I think were aimed at younger audiences more specifically earlier on. I don't know. You know what? Scratch that.
Yeah.
I think they're just all different people.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be everybody's different, but I think there's definitely something that they're trying to say about Piper's dad that is much more subtextual, that's hard to exactly put my finger on, about how, because I think part of it is supposed to be that if he realizes that the gods exist, in addition, he's like, oh, the native heritage story stuff is probably real, and I've walked away from it. I think that's supposed to be part of what's going on there.
Well, he even says that. Like, he says, like, when Piper questions about, her grandfather and how he believed, but Tristan doesn't, like, he's like, I can't, like, his whole thing is he stares off into the horizon. It's just like, I can't believe in that. I think it was this thing of, him not feeling like he really has agency in his own life and his choices when there are these like ultra powerful people. I don't know. It's just,
he was also tortured, we should mention.
Right. That's another thing. It wasn't just like the knowledge that this exists, but the actual like trauma physically and mentally that they were putting him through in this kidnapping. I mean, if anything, I think that Rick is criticizing Hollywood a lot, because wasn't Thalia and Jason's mom also like a failed actress? And Tristan's an actor. And so he's like, oh, these like puny Hollywood people can't handle it. But like Sally, candy shop writer, Paul, teacher, and Professor Annabeth's dad, I forget his name. They're all like intelligent, greater, like more sympathetic people. And they're like, yeah, we're fine with this. This is cool. Let us fight some of these gods.
When did this come out in relation to the movies? Because
I think like right after the movie, actually.
Okay, I settle my case. He was just like, you know what, Hollywood. Like teachers can handle these stories, and Hollywood can't.
That's really what it is.
Moving on.
All right, so they wake up in San Francisco with snazzy new wardrobes, and they head up to Mount Diablo. Once there, Leo and Jason try to distract Enceladus while Piper frees her dad, but Hedge is almost immediately knocked out. Piper frees her dad and refuses to betray her friends, so the giant unleashes the monstrous Earthborn. Leo manages to get a hold of a construction crane to destroy most of the Earthborn, and Piper kills the last one.
All right, let's pause for a little bit. So I will say this is another section where I feel like whose chapter it is gets a little bit strange, because I think it's weird that Piper isn't Piper's point of view when she like finally says like, no, Enceladus, I'm not gonna betray my friends. But on the flip side, I like that like Leo's like, oh no, I'm gonna die, and then she saves him. I thought that was a cool thing. And Leo's, like we've talked about, Leo's action sequences are awesome. Really enjoy them.
All right, so meanwhile, Jason is fighting Enceladus, but his lance is destroyed. It unleashes an explosion that blows a massive crater on the mountain. Jason then prays for assistance from his father. Zeus answers, and his lightning bolt transfers through Jason into the giant, who falls into the crevice it creates. For the only way to kill a giant is for a god and a hero to kill it together.
The one time Zeus does something good.
That's it. The one time.
Other than making Jason and Thalia.
And he might have been Jupiter when he did this, honestly.
And also it's like only to save his own butt.
Of course.
I really like the explosion of the weapon and it causing the great crater. Again, I think there's a lot of cool visual, like I can really see this action sequence. I
think it's kind of also like, while it's unfortunate because I guess I did get a little bit attached to this weapon, but it's just like a very funny thing that Percy's sword like makes it through the whole series, and it's like super important. And then Jason's like magic spear sword coin thing that you think is going to be equal to that is just taken off the board in the first book of the Pentology.
And then replaced with just a normal sword that's not even like a transforming sword or anything.
It's just like a regular Roman legionnaire sword.
Lame. They should have gone the opposite way with this.
Right, and that's the whole thing where it kind of just like subverts it in a weird, funny way.
The end of this book is like anticlimactic without actually being anticlimactic. It's just
it has four climaxes.
It has so many climaxes and like takes away magical equipment. Like
So, Dan literally included in the outline, but wait, there's more. The group gets a helicopter with Piper's charm speak ability and flies to Oakland. So Tristan McLean is visibly shaken by his experience. So Piper decides to give him Aphrodite's potion, even though he like finally understands her and accepts her and is like super proud of her. And it's really sad.
So this is a big part of her growth, is she putting him first, and not just, it's not all about getting his attention anymore. It's about her love for him and protecting him and stuff like that.
Hedge then volunteers to take Piper's father to safety,
Good job.
is smart. I'm glad Hedge is off the board. And it's also funny that he's like, I'm not a fighter. I know. It's super surprising, guys.
It's so good. I loved that part for him.
Honestly, this ending is what makes Hedge a really good character in this book. Especially then, like him being the life coach and Melly
being the assistant. It's really cute. So the heroes join the hunters of Artemis in the battle at the Wolf House. They find Hera in a cage made from earthen tendrils as the giant Porphyrion uses his powers to reform himself. As Leo tries to find a way to destroy Hera's cage, Chione, the goddess of snow, appears and reveals herself as an agent of Gaia. She is the one responsible for Aeolus's order to kill demigods and Hera's decision to visit the Wolf House.
I need to have my weekly thing where I talk about power levels.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. This is very satisfying to me.
Yeah, because I had a lot of raised eyebrows here too.
Yeah. The power level thing is a much worse issue in Heroes of Olympus than it is in Percy Jackson. Because at least in the regular Percy Jackson thing, to me, it's not an issue aside from when he fights Hades and when he fights Hyperion. Everybody else, it's like, even when he's fighting Ares, like Ares is choosing not to go in his godly form, and he only nicks him. And like when he fights Kronos, they say he's not fully Kronos yet.
Yeah.
Whereas here, they fight giants all the time, and I need to find my notes. All right, first question. Do giants, titans, and minor gods have divine forms? If yes, how do demigods possibly fight them? If no, shouldn't they be easy for the gods to defeat?
Yep.
Like, does Chione have a divine form? How is she being defeated by friggin' Leo?
Because he is the blessing of a real god.
But she,
of an Olympian.
But she is snow. Like, you can't, like, she must have a divine form because she's snow. And snow is not, like, you can't defeat snow.
Well, and like, is the hockey guy, does he have a divine form?
Oh.
Like, he's technically a god, right? Like, I don't get it. And like, it seems like they never talk about titans or giants having divine forms. But if they don't, doesn't that make them like way less powerful than the gods?
Here's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of the titans have the same power as gods, like in theory, right? Like you have Helios and you have Apollo.
Yeah.
So Apollo, because he's the god, like he still has that. He has that like mantle of power, right? So he has a divine form and Helios doesn't.
Yeah, but then
I know, but so then you just like boop, smited.
Yeah, well, and then they talk about how the giants were created specifically to destroy a different god, but then they can't even kill a demigod. So what threat do they possibly pose to the gods?
Oh.
Also, the gods can like separate their consciousness and go multiple places. They vaporize demigods by like flicking their finger. I don't know.
It's a question that you just kind of, frankly, have to ignore.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, it was one thing in the Percy Jackson series when it was like few and far between. But the problem is that they have 12 giants to fight in this series. So it gets a lot more frustrating.
Yep.
While Leo combats Chione with fire, fire melts snow, Dan. I don't see what you're not understanding.
Yeah, duh.
Piper holds her own against the Earthborn. Jason manages to get a hold of a storm spirit and rides it as he incapacitates enemy wolves. Cool. Yeah. It was a fun action sequence.
I should say, I talked about the power levels thing. I like Chione. I like the reveal. It's not like it's super surprising, but I like her as a villain, and I think she did some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just call out the fact that we were all reading this book, and there were lines about, like, I'll cover the Acropolis with snow. And like, this is what happens to snow in Texas. It melts. And like, we just happened to be reading it at a time where the Acropolis was covered with snow and it was like freezing in Texas.
Yeah.
So,
that was really weird.
Chione wins this round. Better not disrespect her or else March in Massachusetts is going to suck. As the Earthborn and wolves are defeated, Chione flees from the battleground. Leo and Piper then try to destroy Hera's cage by sawing through it and using charm speak to lull it to sleep, respectively. Porphyrion, however, is able to rise. Jason has no choice but to fight him. Jason is able to acquire a new weapon from the giant's hair.
Which I did think was pretty cool.
Yeah. But things aren't going well until his friends finally free Hera. She then assumes her divine form, which obliterates all monsters in the area and sends Porphyrion into hiding. Jason accidentally looks at the goddess in that state and seemingly dies. Piper, however, is able to save him by using charm speak on him. Charm speak to reawaken him, basically.
I think that's debatable. I like the fact that to me it's sort of ambiguous exactly how Jason survives this.
I figured it was the doors of death thing, and Piper was able to, like, he could find the door because Piper was like her guiding.
Yeah, that's how I took it too.
Or even that he was like dying and she like brought him back to life as opposed to like he was dead and she brought him back to life.
He was in that like very, very long line that Hades hasn't fully dealt with through easy death, and he's just like, oh wait, no, I can reverse. And
there's so many things that it's really hard knowing everything that comes later and not being able to talk about it.
I know, I was thinking that too, Dan.
I'm in bliss right now. I'm just like, cool, this is face value stuff. My journey is yet to truly begin. So Hera brings the trio back to Camp Half-Blood. After the quest, Piper and Leo become head counselors via intimidation and talent.
Do we want to talk about that more?
Yeah. So Piper just being like, Drew, fight me. I'm gonna be like, and Drew's like, I'm not gonna fight you. Bye. And then everyone in the cabin's like, yay, Piper, and like carries her to breakfast. Like, okay. Like it was I
really like the Drew part. I agree with you. The fact that everybody seems excited about it seems a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
But the fact that like Drew totally backs down, I 100% buy. And that Piper has gotten to the point where she's like, why do I care about this little girl?
Yeah.
It was really satisfying.
Yeah.
It was satisfying until I personally read that and everybody clapped. I was like, oh, Rick, why'd you ruin it with that one note? Because it's just a lot more real that, you know, Drew's actual cronies that benefited from her would be like, I'm not going to stand up for her because clearly she's not in power. But to like pretend, you know, make it seem like everyone's super happy to not be under her thumb is also a little disingenuous. Even though the whole like the drama doesn't matter, it still kind of matters. Like Drew, I'm assuming, is still going to be a factor here. Oh, okay.
A little. I mean, she doesn't stop existing, but
no, that's a relief, I guess.
I mean, one thing I will say is that in favor of the way it turns out is that she was literally mind controlling everyone, probably including her lieutenants. So like, that's
fair enough. But Leo, with his super talented fire hands, he shows off Bunker 9, and Chiron tells them it was made during the Civil War, where demigods fought demigods. The war caused so much bloodshed that gods put all of their will and power to separate their Greek and Roman children. Leo then shows them the blueprints for an aerial warship and the drawing he did as a child. His cabin plans to build the ship so that they can fly to Greece and protect the gods' roots. It's just a really cute scene. This is really good and interesting. It's a really nice way for Leo's arc to come together.
So we've talked a lot about like them using real world wars and things like that. How do we feel about the Civil War stuff?
Don't do it. I don't. Rick, explain. A 2008 Rick, explain to me.
I kind of like the Civil War one. It's better than the World War II.
Yeah.
It's better than the World War II one.
I took it here as, incidentally, while the North and the South are fighting, the Greeks and the Romans are having their own war over here. And not that it was like the Romans are the Confederates and the Greeks are the
They don't outright say that.
They don't, and I'm okay as long as they don't. Like, it's as you say, better than the World War II analogy.
Yeah, because that's the thing, where if we're actually engaging it with this stuff, it's like, well, the Greeks and the Romans in their original times were also monstrous, like slave, and you know, they had slavery, they had these like very arcane laws and legal systems that like now are considered very brutal and barbaric. So like,
I don't know. Here, I personally feel different than you because I'm like, even if it was like all the Romans were on the Confederate side, like I don't hate everyone who lives in Texas now. So like, what does it matter really?
What would bother me is if it was presented unproblematically as like there was bloodshed on both sides. You know, like the quote, there are good people on both sides. Like to present that unquestioningly in the work of children's fiction is not good.
I see where you're coming from. At least there isn't a north-south thing happening, that it is east-west.
Yeah.
So you could at least it more ambiguous.
Yeah. Think of this more as Biggie versus Tupac than
exactly
than the Civil War.
That's what Chiron was thinking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Juno later appears to Jason as his memories start to return. She offers him a new sword and admits that she was always jealous of the other gods for having demigod children.
I love Juno's speak here.
I love Juno.
Yeah, Juno supremacy.
God, I'm so excited to rank things finally.
It's in the podcast title. Who
so
are we
close.
if not rankers? At the council meeting, Jason tells them that he remembers the Roman camp in San Francisco. The group plans to fly to the Roman camp in the summer before heading to Greece. Annabeth and Jason realize that Percy must be with the Romans and that he, like Jason, must have lost all of his memories. Amnesia, part 2.
Not as bad.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they reference that the Romans were the ones who defeated, that Jason was like defeating his own titans at Mount Othrys, and that they were having the second front war over there. Like, I like that world building here as well.
I mean, so one thing that I know I'm going a little bit ahead of myself. I'm not spoiling anything, but like one thing I think is interesting is that in the next book, when Percy doesn't have all his memories, he's still very clearly Percy. Like he doesn't feel like, blank amnesiac person.
Yeah.
He feels like Percy without his memories. So in some ways, I'm like, is that a bit of an indictment of Jason here?
Yes.
Like Jason.
I think Jason is purposefully, and I think you might have said this on the casting thing. I don't know. Like he's like this guy who's just like, he's kind of just a bland guy.
Yeah. I think they do more with him later on, but I definitely think that's like the impression you're supposed to be left with.
Yeah,
that he's just like
so
hero, the hero.
Yeah, and he grows from that instead of like he's a likable. I mean, he's likable enough, right? Yeah. But
just honestly, the fact that Piper likes him makes me like him.
I know, me too.
Yeah, I trust Piper's judgment.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the fact is that we actually like know Percy's personality, so it's if you know someone's personality, then it's a lot easier to put up with them not knowing what's going on, as opposed to him, where we're like, we have no idea who you are as a person or why we should like you.
Yeah.
All right. Feedback?
Okay. So if you want to send us your feedback and be included in a future podcast, you can email us at ourpodcastfeedback@gmail.com or comment it on YouTube.
Awesome. So we actually have an email we're going to read today.
Yes. So this is from Alora. Hi, my name is Alora D, and I am 12 years old. I love Rick Riordan books. I have finished the Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm currently on Magnus Chase Book 3 and Trials of Apollo 3. I have a few things to say.
Read Kane Chronicles.
I have a few things to say about your podcast. I totally agree with a lot of your thoughts, but there was one thing that was bothering me. It was that you were a little too hard on Bianca in the Titan's Curse episode for me. Being 12 myself, I can see how much weight was on her young shoulders, and she was very noble when she sacrificed herself. After joining the Hunters, she felt awful and tried to make it up to Nico. Personally, I think you were a tad harsh on Bianca. Other than that, I think I pretty much agree with everything you said in the podcast, especially the movie episode, because that movie was a huge disappointment for me. Us as well.
Yeah.
All right. You want to talk about Bianca?
Yeah, thank you so much for your feedback, because I think it is hard for us to remember exactly what it felt like to be younger.
Yeah.
And to think about what different levels of responsibility felt like and what was reasonable. And I think that is a fair critique of our critique of Bianca.
I agree. I think we were a little harsh. That being said, I'm going to be annoyed by her next book too.
Oh no. Oh no. We're so sorry, Alora.
I'll try not to be too annoyed by her next book. All right, ranking Rick Riordan. So we are going to start by ranking best hero. Right now, from worst to best, we have Beckendorf, Thalia, Tyson, Grover, Zoe, Clarice, Annabeth, Nico, and Perseus Jackson. Our nominees are Jason, Piper, and Leo. So I want to change our rules a little bit here. I think we should be ranking all three of these people.
I agree.
We can still pick an overall best hero of the book, but I think all three of these people should go on the list.
Absolutely.
I personally would put Leo at number 1.
Me too.
I would too.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Percy.
Followed by Piper.
Above Percy, you're saying?
Personally speaking.
I struggle with that a little bit.
I struggle with that too. I would do Leo, Percy, Piper.
For now.
Okay.
Is what
Okay.
I'm
I'm
saying.
on
Yeah.
board. I'm on board with that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would put Jason above Tyson.
I would put him above
That
Grover.
low? What?
I put him
Grover had
above
a-
Grover.
Okay, so for me, best hero is two things. It's best character but most heroic acts. So I agree Jason has very heroic acts, but he doesn't have best character. Like Grover has an arc. So that's like a kind of a hard middle ground for me. You want him
Grover-
above Grover?
Grover
think
isn't going to move up. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Grover isn't going to move up, but even so.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that, actually.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know what I'm
That's
talking
fair.
about.
Yeah, okay. Let's put him above Tyson for now.
Okay, cool.
Jason is lame.
So our new list is Beckendorf, Thalia, Tyson, Jason, Grover, Zoe, Clarice, Annabeth, Nico, Piper, Percy, Leo. I have to say, I am surprised you did not argue about Nico being under Piper.
You know why?
Why?
His time will come.
Because Nico's time is coming.
Can I
He wasn't
actually-
in
now
this
that-
book.
Now that you've said all of this,
Yeah.
should Thalia move up?
Let's put her over Tyson.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry, Tyson.
Be right next to Jason.
Yeah, the siblings, the Grace
Yeah.
siblings.
So yes, our best hero of the book is Leo because he's just perfect.
I love him.
Best god. Right now, from worst to best, Ares, Pan, Athena, Hephaestus, Poseidon, Hestia, Mr. D, Artemis, Hermes, and Hades. And options for this book, Juno/Hera, Aphrodite, Boreas, or Aeolus.
Ha, you messed it up too.
Well, so this is the first time where we're in this weird nebulous zone where it's like,
Yeah.
does like Keone go under best god or best baddie?
Baddie.
Baddie.
And
She
if
a
that's
baddie.
true,
She doesn't
should
have
we,
a divine form.
should we have put Ares under best baddie?
No, because he
No,
was
'cause-
being controlled by Kronos.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll give
yeah.
you that. I mean, I think clearly Juno is the best god for this book.
She's the best god, period.
Really?
Thank you. I'm putting
Yep.
it.
All right.
Olga said it.
I think that she's like got more going on as a character.
I would
than
have put
Hades.
her underneath Hades, but that's fine.
I might reassess at some point,
Yeah.
but I just think she has exhibited she is complex in the same way that Hades is complex, but she has more pathos. Would
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
be an
Yeah.
accurate thing
Sure.
to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clara's so
Excellent.
excited, guys. You have no idea. She's so giddy she can't sit
And
still.
and soon Nico will be up there, and then I can stop podcasting.
I'm gonna suggest Aphrodite go above Hestia.
That low?
Yeah.
I don't
she's
think
below
I
Mr.
don't-
D.
I don't think she's better than Mr. D.
You know what? You're right.
Not
Okay.
like
Not yeah.
yeah. I don't think
Alright.
she's better than Mr. D.
Should Hephaestus move up?
I'm more thinking that Poseidon should move down.
Agreed. We're moving him.
Okay.
I think Poseidon should be above Pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We are
This is
massacring
excellent.
the
I
Olympians.
love this. This list is shaping up to be like my dreams.
So the new list is Ares, Pan, Poseidon, Athena, Hephaestus, Hestia, Aphrodite, Mr. D, Artemis, Hermes, Hades, Juno/Hera.
Yes.
Next up, best baddie. Our list from worst to best is Circe, Atlas, Kelly, Dr. Thorne, Medusa, Polyphemus, Ethan Nakamura, Kronos, King Minos, and Luke. Our options are Medea, Keone, Enceladus, Porphyrion, and Gia.
I don't know what to do with these.
Gia should go pretty high.
I'm not ready to put Gia on the list.
Me neither.
She killed Leo's mom. That's
Yeah.
mean.
It is mean.
She's
but
asleep,
That's
though.
not
Yeah, and
that's
she's
not
still scary even though she's asleep.
Let's put her between Circe and Atlas, Olga.
What?
No. That's far too low.
I would put her under
We
Luke.
don't want her on the list.
I would put her under Luke.
If we're putting her on the list,
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
we need to put her at
How about below Kronos?
yeah,
I think he's better than Kronos. All right, fine. No, I'll leave her under Kronos for now.
for now.
She will definitely get better. I
Alright.
know she's gonna grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
Her as an
Much
asleep
like her
person.
children.
That was a bad joke.
Do we want Medea
Yes.
over Circe?
Oh. I thought you just meant, do we want her on the list?
I want her above Kelly.
I
Okay.
was just thinking that too.
Okay, I'm good with that. Chione, I would put above.
If we put Chione on this list, neither Enceladus nor Porphyrion are getting on this list right now.
Yeah,
agree.
I don't actually want either of
Good.
them on
Me
this list.
neither. They're just
Me
big.
neither. They're just
Yeah.
they're just like,
They were just
ooh,
scary.
mean monster, like cool.
I would put Chione above Polyphemus.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
that seems right to me.
I like that.
Do we want Midas anywhere, or is he too small?
No, he's
potatoes? Okay.
He's just like a fun, goofy dude.
All right.
right.
So our new list is Circe, Atlas, Kelly, Medea, Dr. Thorne, Medusa, Polyphemus, Chione, Ethan, Gia, Kronos, King Minos, and Luke. All right. Now this one's interesting. Best real world locale from worst to best: Alcatraz, St. Louis Arch, Hoover Dam, Smithsonian, and New York City. The options are Grand Canyon, Montreal, Chicago, or the Wolf House. I really like how they use the idea of Montreal. But that
Yeah.
being said, they don't really use Montreal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same with Chicago, honestly.
Yeah. They'd use like that one like area with the statues and stuff, right? Like that park. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
it's
fact
very
that we don't
minor.
even remember is
Yeah.
like not great.
So since I lived in Chicago, I know exactly that park and I know
Yeah.
the things with the faces. And so
Yeah.
it was really cool. I think Chicago should make it to the list.
I don't think you should get it to the list because I think we should do Grand Canyon and Wolf House.
I
Okay,
that
I'm
was
fine with
my
Yeah. All right. Grand Canyon, I would put above St. Louis Arch.
I think so too.
I think so too.
And the Wolf House. So I don't know that much about the Wolf House in the real world, but they clearly make it a huge deal here. So I feel like it should go high, right?
Yeah. And it's so like nice and creepy. I think it should go after Hoover Dam.
I agree.
All right. So I'm fine with that. So the new list is Alcatraz, St. Louis Arch, Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam, Wolf House Ruins, Smithsonian, and New York City. Very happy with that list.
It's just that the Wolf House is like such a bit of Americana that's like what makes it so special and unique.
Yeah.
Like it's not
Yeah.
like this huge famous landmark, but
Yeah.
it is very like, I don't know, American hubris / tragedy / lore. Like it's just
Yeah.
the photos are really awesome.
It feels really supernatural, like the TV show Supernatural, where it's like it's like sort of it's American Gothic in a way that I love.
All right. Book ranking. Worst to best. Sea of Monsters, Lightning Thief, Titans Cursed, Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. I have a feeling we're going to disagree on this one. As I say, it goes at number 2.
Me too.
I actually agreed as well.
Really? Really? I did not see that coming, clearly.
Yeah. Dan's most anticlimactic intro ever. We're going to disagree. Now we're all on the same page.
I'm shocked because you had so many issues with the length and feeling like there were just problems.
Here's the problem, though. The more I think about Battle of the Labyrinth, the more frustrated I get.
Yeah.
And when I measure those, like Battle of the Labyrinth and what it was supposed to be at that point in the series was like more underwhelming than what the Lost Hero does. Like, and the Lost Hero, for all of the things that I find like frustrating about it, it was still very skillful, and just the way the characters are just like so much the heart of it.
Yeah.
It's just like the importance of the characters and their weight and like, you know, a presentation outweighs all of the other criticisms I've had.
I mean, I would say the character work in this book is definitely the best so far.
Yeah.
It's just that I think overall Last Olympian is tighter.
Yes.
And like it does have some good character stuff, and it does a good job of the battle and then out of the battle and then in the battle. And
The Last Olympian was like, I never stopped to see how far along in the book I was.
Yeah.
Lost Hero, I definitely did and was shocked at how little progress I was making. And it wasn't like I wasn't enjoying things. I was just like, I thought I'd be done with this by now. And like, you know, again, like I enjoyed it, but that was a long book.
Yeah, that was exactly my experience where I was like, how am I still here? Like, how am I not in California yet?
Yep.
Like, oh lordy. And yet the characters, what they had going on in their minds was like making the time I was reading enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up is Son of Neptune, which is a fun little thing because originally Lightning Thief was going to be called the Son of the Sea God.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I've already started reading it. I'm very excited to talk about it. To me, it's sort of the dark horse of the bunch. So we'll see. And I also want to point out here that this is the point in time that if you want to read the Demigod Diaries, this is the time to do it. It has a bunch of short stories. It is much better than Demigod Files. The two highlight stories for me are there's a Thalia Luke story that's really pretty well done. And there's a story written by Riordan's son that is really, really good. And it's about Hecate and it's cool. And I highly recommend that one. The other two, there's one that's about like Percy and Annabeth on a date, which is like fine. It's like fun. And then there's sadly, I was bummed. The worst one in the book is about Leo, Jason, and Piper. But yeah,
you told me that the one written by Rick's son was the best one, and he wrote it when he was like a teenager.
He was 16.
Yeah,
it was definitely the best story in the book.
Yeah, and that his son also has like ADD and dyslexia.
Percy Jackson started because he would tell his son stories about the Greek gods, and when he ran out of myths, his son asked him to start making up some of his own. And so he made Percy have ADHD and dyslexia because his son is ADHD and dyslexia. And he's overcome them quite well to the point where he's a phenomenal writer. So that's pretty cool.
Take that, Rick. Your best presentation is your kid.
Yep.
That's all a parent can really hope for. I'm really happy for them both.
I don't know. Zeus seems kind of pissed off at his kid.
Zeus sucks. Go Hera.
Poor woman stuck marrying him and she can't divorce him because that's against what she believes in.
Yeah.
All right. I think
on that
that's
chipper
everything.
note, as we mourn a bunch of wives trapped in toxic relationships.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please, again, send us feedback, send in reviews. Thank you. And may the gods be ever in your favor.